As you might be aware, each year there's a Franciscan tent at the Greenbelt Festival. This is run by Franciscan brothers and sisters alongside members of TSSF and other Anglican Franciscan communities. There's always two main tents. One's a chapel, which is the heart of our life as Christians, where we have a daily Eucharist and daily round of offices, alongside a hospitality tent, where members of religious communities offer hospitality to passers-by and those who are in need. The chapel services are well attended, and people often come to find support and a sense of community over a busy festival. Being at Greenbelt is a great way for Anglican religious to let people know there is religious life in the Anglican Communion in the Church of England. An ongoing challenge for us is that so many people just don't know that we exist. Anyway, I was at Greenbelt in 2017, and there I talked to hundreds of people, maybe thousands. And many of these were teenagers who went to Church of England churches. They came with a parish group. Several of these young people told me and Tom, who's facilitating this panel discussion, they said, "We didn't know that there were monks and nuns in Church of England. We didn't know. If only one person has said this, it wouldn't have really impacted me. But because so many of the young people who attended Church of England churches told us this, we realised something must be done. Something must be done. I didn't grow up in the Church of England. I wasn't allowed to go into a Church of England church as a young person. So it surprised me that church-going Anglicans didn't know what existed in their own denomination. We realised we couldn't just wait for someone else to advocate for Anglican religious life and community. If something was going to be done, it looked like we were the people who were to do it. In a dramatic moment, it suddenly dawned on us, we need to raise the profile of Anglican religious life in its various expressions on social media, because that's where young people and others are at. We were aware that there are a lot of very small social media accounts run by different religious communities, and that these aren't updated regularly. We wanted to avoid this by pooling our limited resources. SSF, for example, so the Society of St. Francis, wasn't in a situation to run an interesting Twitter account that would have photos and stories each week or every few days. It takes regular pictures and stories to keep it going, to keep it fresh. So from the outset, we knew this was going to be a team effort with people from all the different forms of Anglican religious life and community. By the end of Greenbelt 2017, me and Tom and a few others had set up a little team to run a Twitter account. We called this account Monk Nun C of E because the young people said, we didn't know there were monks and nuns in the Church of England. We invited a different person to host the account each week. The host would post between 2 and 20 tweets each day and would share about who they were, which community they were part of, how this impacted on their daily life, what their prayer routine looks like and involved, alongside the particular charism of their community. We also encouraged hosts to ask questions such as, what do you want to know? And what surprises you most about religious life in the church today? So you might ask, what was the underlying mission of the Monk Nun CV Twitter account? What was it all about? Our mission was to raise the profile of Anglican religious life on social media, to signpost inquirers to community websites, and to offer them support and encouragement. Our mission also was to build an online community of people interested in Anglican religious life. So did we achieve this? Yes, I would say that we did. I'm genuinely thrilled that we managed to raise the profile of Anglican religious life on social media. I often assume people don't really remember anything that happens on social media. But when I helped run a little stall at the Lambeth conference, several bishops came and thanked me for the work of the Monk and Nun CV Twitter account. And they quoted tweets, and it was quite heartwarming, really, if a bit strange. And one of the little helpers at the stalls was a young woman who'd explored being a nun, and she had followed the account and be part of her discernment process. And she'd prayed over the account as well. That was really moving. So we are reaching people, we're speaking into people's hearts, and we've managed to raise their profile, which is really an honour. It's fair to say that many people on Twitter engage with us who'd never heard about Anglican religious life before. People know about Henry VIII, but that's about it. Often people from different Christian denominations might comment, and even people from different faith communities, or none at all. We'd also have Anglicans regularly tell us they hadn't heard of Anglican religious life before. So we were introducing this way of life to a whole new audience, and not only to teenagers, but to people of all ages. We also began to hear stories from people who told us they joined Anglican religious communities by discovering them on Twitter. We've been told this by several members of dispersed and tertiary communities. Basically, the Twitter account was a success. Our following grew from nothing in September 2017 to around 8,500 by 2021. I became the admin for the account for a number of years, meaning I recruited the weekly host for the account. During this time, I also started an inquirers group for inquirers into traditional religious communities. This met on Zoom once a month. Basically, beginning with the first COVID lockdown, we met once a month for 2 years. We had lots of people who came and they popped in. Each month we had a different speaker from a different traditional Anglican community. The participants for this monthly group mainly came through the Twitter account, which might seem surprising to you. The little adverts we posted really spoke to people, and we had between 4 and 10 at each meeting. But like all things, the Twitter account was beginning to run out of steam. In the summer of 2021, I realised I was running out of people to host the account on a weekly basis. I was even beginning to annoy people by constantly asking them to be involved. Because of this, I thought about closing the Twitter account down. However, when I talked to a few people about it, they encouraged me to set up a small group to discern a way forward, which is what I did. Since the summer of 2021 until this very day, a small group of us have met around once a month to discern a way forward for the Monk and Nun CV Twitter account and how to raise a profile of Anglican religious life online. During our discernment process, and it has been a genuine discernment process, we realised we needed to move away from a weekly host model on Twitter and instead develop a place where a large amount of content could be stored and then posted on social media. We acknowledged it took a lot of work to host Twitter each week, and while people liked this, it wasn't sustainable. We realised a website would offer us a better platform to store online content. When we asked our Twitter followers what content they were looking for, we had a lot of responses. I think it was 32. People wanted to know more about dispersed and tertiary communities. Others wanted to know more about the history of Anglican religious life. So they've heard of Henry VIII, but beyond that, people are they just don't know. People in ministry said they often felt ill-equipped, ill-prepared to support people potentially discerning a vocation to religious life or community. They asked us for advice of how to recognise a vocation or to support someone, and how they could provide pastoral care in this situation. Others wanted to know what was happening in the various communities across the UK, such as celebrations and events, and the different things that just go on. We realised the best place to collate such a large array of information and content online was going to be on a website.